It's not going to be a vacation jaunt. It's going to be saving up all your money and selling all your stuff, like when people moved to the early American colonies. You would need to mine and refine all of these different materials in a much more difficult environment than Earth. There would be no trees growing. There would be no oxygen or nitrogen that are just there. No oil. Elon Musk. Chapter 1: The Big Red Dream. Earth. 2 years earlier. White House South Lawn. The afternoon sun blazed down on the manicured grass as Mick Ventura adjusted his red Mars first cap and stepped up to the podium. Behind him, the White House gleamed white as bone, while before him stretched a sea of matching red hats bobbing like angry buoys in an ocean of testosterone. President Elon swayed slightly beside the podium, squinting through designer sunglasses that couldn't quite hide his bloodshot eyes. His suit jacket hung askew, and he clutched a large coffee cup that definitely didn't smell like coffee. The president had been celebrating his latest rocket launch success since dawn, and it showed. "My fellow Americans!" Ventura's voice boomed across the lawn, causing a murder of crows to flee from the nearby oak trees. "For too long, we've let the weak inherit the earth." The crowd erupted in cheers. Someone in the back shouted, "Mars or bust!" while another waved a flag depicting a muscular astronaut flexing on the red planet. Ventura raised his hands for silence, his biceps straining against his rolled-up shirt sleeves. "The frontier has always belonged to real men. Lewis and Clark didn't need safe spaces. The cowboys didn't need participation trophies, and by God, we're going to show Mars what American masculinity looks like." More cheers. President Elon took a long sip from his cup and muttered something that sounded like, "Here we go again." "We're talking about the ultimate penetration, folks," Ventura continued, his voice rising to a fevered pitch. "Our big red rocket is going to pierce through that Martian atmosphere like a hot knife through butter. We're going to plant our flag, establish our colony, and make Mars our bitch." The crowd absolutely lost it. Men in tactical vests pumped their fists. Someone started a chant of, "Mars! Mars! Mars!" A few spectators began doing push-ups on the lawn for reasons unclear to everyone, including themselves. President Elon rolled his eyes so hard they nearly disappeared into his skull. He leaned toward his aide and whispered loudly, "Why did I agree to this again?" The aide just shrugged and handed him a breath mint. "No political correctness on the red planet," Ventura shouted over the chaos. "No gender studies majors, no soy lattes, just pure, unadulterated American manpower building the greatest colony in the solar system." As the crowd reached a crescendo of masculine enthusiasm, Ventura threw his cap into the air. 36 hands fought over it like it was the last beer at a tailgate party. President Elon stumbled slightly as he approached the microphone for his remarks, catching himself on the podium. Yes," he said, his words slightly slurred. "Mars, very red, much planet. Congratulations to, he squinted at his notes. Mike, this guy." He gestured vaguely at Ventura. The crowd didn't seem to mind the president's condition. They cheered anyway. And thus, with pomp, circumstance, and a disturbingly intoxicated head of state, the Mars first mission was officially launched. Nobody in that crowd of red hats could have predicted that 2 years later, they'd be arguing over who forgot to pack the toilet paper while their hydroponic tomatoes died a slow, neglected death in a concrete dome on a frozen desert planet. The launch. Montage of preparations, fundraising rallies, and testosterone-fueled promotional videos featuring men in tactical gear posing with Mars first flags. The leader, Mick Ventura, a square mustache, and his friend Kalani, an aspiring rapper wearing a trademark black-pointed hood, pose in front of the red rocket. Male power. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 2. The Launch, continuing the satirical tone and world-building of the Big Red Dream. Chapter 2. The Launch. Montage sequence. Mars First Countdown to Glory. Cue over-the-top synth rock anthem Blood, Soil, and Solar Panels Mars Mix by Ted Nugent AI. 001. A slow pan across a barren desert airstrip. Dust kicks up as oversized trucks painted Mars First or Die haul missile parts under a blazing sun. Shirtless men in American flag cargo pants spot each other while lifting crates of protein powder labeled Mars Mass XL for interplanetary gains. 009. A crowd cheers as Mick Ventura, still in his rolled-up shirt sleeves and signature square mustache, body slams a life-sized cardboard cutout of Neil deGrasse Tyson. 013. Cut 2. A fundraising rally inside a repurposed Walmart. A banner reads, "Defund Earth, Fund Mars." Men in tactical gear pose with replica flamethrowers and fist bump each other while eating raw steaks off paper plates. One cries during the national anthem, a distorted remix of Free Bird performed entirely on didgeridoo. 0.24. Kanye enters the spotlight, a self-declared Astro-Patriot rapper. He struts in wearing his trademark black pointed hood, resembling a melted traffic cone, emblazoned with the words, "Black Hole Swag." He freestyles, "Gimme that launchpad, Elon's cash stash slash, and hood pointy like the rocket gonna break that ass Tronaut barrier." The crowd goes wild. Ventura hands him a Red Bull martini and slaps him on the back. 0:33. Commercial footage. A glossy Mars first promotional video plays. Slow-motion clips of shirtless men hurling kettlebells into the sand, welding rocket plates while screaming "No fear," and racing dune buggies with flamethrowers strapped to the sides. Cutaways to Mick posing with a bald eagle perched on his arm, the bird squinting like it knows this is all a terrible idea. 0:44. A press conference. Mick Ventura stands in front of the towering red rocket, freshly painted with pin-up art of Betsy Ross in a space helmet. Beside him stands Kanye, holding a boombox on his shoulder, nodding solemnly. Ventura clears his throat. This rocket, this throbbing tower of American resolve, isn't just carrying fuel and equipment. It's carrying the dreams of every man who ever felt emasculated by low-fat yogurt and social studies teachers. Kanye adds, and the hopes of every rapper who never made it to the BET cipher, but still believes in the stars. 0:53. A warehouse interior. Volunteers stamp MARSFIRST patches on jumpsuits. A young intern is seen cry-laughing while packing an American flag, 3 shovels, and a PlayStation 5 into the ship's manifest. Someone realizes the entire food shipment is just jerky and powdered eggs. Nobody cares. 1 o'clock. Final pre-launch rally. The stage is flanked by flamethrowers. A hologram of George Washington appears, nods once, and salutes. Ventura shouts, "We don't go to Mars because it's easy. We go to prove we still have balls." The audience erupts, fireworks explode, Kanye starts rapping over the national anthem. A bald eagle screeches and takes a dump midair. Someone calls it a sign. 1 minute 9 seconds. Elon appears via hologram from an undisclosed yacht. He mutters something about terraforming with NFTs and disappears in static. 1:12. Launch preparation. The red rocket looms. Ventura and Kanye pose on the gangway, arms crossed, gazing upward like two messianic morons. Behind them, the other Mars First crew, all biceps and Oakleys, march in slow motion toward the rocket, lit like a Michael Bay fever dream. 1:15. Voiceover. Ventura. "This ain't just a launch, this is a message. Mars ain't ready for this much, man." Cut to black. A single line appears. T-minus 24 hours to Mars first. Chapter 3. Reality Bites. Mars present day. Sol 847. Inside the Astrocrete structure, Olympus Mons Sector Alpha. The dream had calcified into something red, dusty, and deeply unpleasant. A dome of questionable integrity, their Astrocrete habitat squatted on the edge of the Martian plain like a swollen pimple. Built in haste and blood, literally, the structure smelled perpetually of sweat, mildew, and the faint metallic tang of collective regret. Inside, dozens of bearded men in matching red Mars First caps lounged in grim resignation. Their tactical vests now served as glorified tool belts. Their beards had grown wild and knotted with Martian dust. Testosterone still hung thick in the air, but now it mingled with foot fungus and recycled breath. They were gathered in a semicircle around the air recycling unit, a coffin-sized machine that wheezed like a chain smoker on a treadmill. "I did it last week," growled Tucker, a former CrossFit instructor whose delts had noticeably shrunk. "Bullshit," muttered Dale, who claimed to be a free-market homesteader back on Earth, but had once been seen crying over a missing USB cable. "Rock, paper, scissors for it," someone offered. "No more hand games," Mick Ventura snapped. That's how Pink Eye Squad got started. Silence. The machine coughed out a puff of filtered air. Somewhere in the corner, a hydroponic tomato plant shriveled audibly. "All right," Ventura said, rising to his feet. His square mustache, now flecked with gray dust and dried blood, twitched. "We'll settle this the traditional way." He held up a jagged shard of plastic, what used to be a Mars First dinner tray, now their ceremonial blade. "It's time for blood and soil." Groans filled the dome. A few men shuffled reluctantly toward the center, sleeves already rolled up. A drumbeat began. Soft, rhythmic, someone tapping a protein canister with a spoon. Cloney lit a candle, his pointed hood now permanently sweat-stained, muttering something about ritual energy and protective vibes. The ceremony was crude but sacred. Each man cut his palm and squeezed a few drops into a bucket of fine Martian regolith. The resulting sludge, affectionately called martyr mix, was used to patch structural cracks in the dome and occasionally as war paint for morale. Ventura stirred the thick red paste with a stick. "By our blood, we bind this house. By our sacrifice, we hold the line. For Earth is weak, but we are chosen." A half-hearted chorus of Mars First followed. Klanya added, "And we manifest dominance on this dusty bitch of a planet." A few men clapped. One tried to raise a fist but was too dehydrated to complete the motion. After the ceremony, Kevin, formerly head of security at a Georgia Bass Pro Shops, lost a game of Spin the Spork and was forced to clean the air recycler. The room watched in reverent silence as he unscrewed the vent housing and gagged on a year's worth of beard hair, skin flakes, and crusted Martian dust. Later at dinner, rehydrated beef clumps and powdered electrolyte gravy, the men took turns sharing grievances. The Wi-Fi was dead. The MarsNet satellite had stopped responding after someone streamed Top Gun Maverick 83 times. The 3D printer had run out of filament, and no one remembered how to fix the toilet. "I'm just saying," Dale muttered into his bowl. "Maybe we should have brought at least one woman, or a botanist, or a plumber." Ventura glared at him across the table. "Weakness talking." Klanya nodded, stirring his nutrient paste. "Mars separates the alphas from the algorithms." Someone in the corner sobbed quietly. As night fell, if you could call it that on Mars, the dome glowed dimly from flickering solar lanterns. Ventura stood watch, arms crossed, staring through the dust-caked viewport toward the horizon, where their rocket sat like a faded monument to delusion. "We built this," he whispered to no one in particular. "With blood, with soil, with manhood." Behind him, the air recycler made a strangled noise and went completely dark. Chapter 4. The Woman Problem. Ventura addresses the group via hologram from his luxury Mars command center, admitting their recruitment videos featuring AR-15s and No Girls Allowed messaging somehow failed to attract female volunteers. Reinforcements. A new supply ship arrives, with 200 more men. The dome becomes impossibly cramped. Masculine chaos infrastructure collapse. Without anyone willing to do women's work, basic maintenance fails. The hydroponic gardens die, laundry piles reach the ceiling, and someone's attempt to alpha male the water purification system leads to disaster. Absolutely. Here's Chapter 4, The Woman Problem. Escalating the satire into full-blown Martian masculine meltdown. Chapter 4, The Woman Problem. Sol 853, emergency broadcast from Mars First Command Dome. The flickering hologram of Mick Ventura sputtered to life in the center of the overcrowded dome. His mustache was freshly trimmed, his skin glowing suspiciously. Rumor had it the command dome had a functioning spa and an illegal stash of Earth sunscreen. "Brothers," he began, voice echoing with static and gravitas, "we have a situation." Around him, a sea of increasingly malnourished, sunburned, and sleep-deprived men shifted on crates and crumpled ration packs. Every available square inch of the Astrocrete floor was occupied. Some sitting, others perched on broken exercise bikes or balanced atop mounds of laundry. Ventura's hologram adjusted his tactical vest and looked solemn. "I've reviewed the recruitment data from the Mars First Initiative. I'll admit, there were oversights." A hushed gasp rippled through the room. "Oversights?" "Our promo videos," featuring flaming AR-15s, protein shake chug-offs, and the slogan "No Girls Allowed, Spaces for Real Men," somehow inexplicably failed to attract female volunteers. Someone coughed, another muttered, "Damn woke algorithms." Klanya, now wearing his hood backward and a cracked VR headset, whispered, "I told you all we needed at least one lady DJ." Ventura's hologram sighed. "But I bring good news, warriors. Reinforcements have arrived." There was a pause, then a distant boom echoed through the dome as the supply ship touched down. Cheers erupted. Someone yelled, "Send the nurses," another added, "Girl Scouts bringing cookies." The outer airlock creaked open. A moment of silence, and then 200 more men in red Mars first caps stumbled into the already bursting dome like a frat party falling into a broom closet. "Brothers," one of them shouted, "the dream lives!" "Where's the bench press?" asked another. Someone in the back fainted. The temperature inside the dome jumped 10 degrees. The oxygen levels dipped. Testosterone levels became legally classified as a biohazard. Chapter 5. Masculine Chaos. The weeks that followed were known in internal Mars logs as the Crunch. With no women, no designated roles, and zero functional delegation, things deteriorated rapidly. Fast. The hydroponic garden collapsed after someone insisted plants needed less estrogen and more dominance. A self-declared plant whisperer was caught yelling at the tomatoes to man up. They withered out of spite. Laundry reached structural threatening heights. Every surface was buried in sweat-drenched compression shirts, tactical socks, and gaming diapers. No one knew how to operate the washing unit after its touchscreen was shattered during an arm wrestling match. Bathrooms became war zones. Diarrhea spread like an insurgency. But the final straw came on Sol 867 when Chad Ranger McConnell, a former supplement CEO, decided he could alpha the water purification system by removing all filters and yelling affirmations at it. The entire dome was without drinkable water within 6 hours. Ventura's hologram flickered back to life amid the panic. "I said dominate the environment, not destroy it," he snapped. "We need women," someone shouted. "Like even just one woman," cried another. Klanya stood on an overturned crate. "This isn't what we marched for. This was supposed to be freedom. Mars was going to be lit." A spontaneous protest broke out. Dozens of men, dehydrated and confused, chanted, "We deserve girls," and beat their chests in a circle until passing out from low oxygen. Chapter 6. Final Log. Sol 870. Ventura's final broadcast that week was brief. His luxury command dome now visibly stocked with oxygen plants, earth snacks, and at least 2 French poodles. "Hold the line, brothers," he said. "We're working on a new recruitment strategy. Less no girls allowed, more interplanetary courtship rituals." The broadcast cut out before he could finish the phrase Martian dating app. Back in the cramped dome, Klanya sat in the laundry pile, typing lyrics into a broken tablet. "Blood and soil, no B-Day. Martian bros ain't meant to stay. No Wi-Fi, no gals, no fun. This Red Rock prison got me on the run." He was feeling doubt. He had requested a private diagnostic consult with Mira T, the AI therapist module recently re-enabled by the Venus Project as part of their temporary aid mission. The Mars First leadership didn't know the therapy system had been restored. It had previously been reprogrammed to scream "grow a pair" whenever someone selected the emotional distress option. Now Myra T spoke in a gentle tone, firm yet unthreatening. No judgment, no caps lock. "Good evening, Klanya. This is a safe disclosure zone. You may begin at your own pace." He looked up. He looked tired. I think I want to leave Mars." "That is not a violation of your value as a man. Please continue." He flinched, unsure whether to trust the calmness of her tone. "I mean, I should want to stay. That's what we said, right? Grit, resolve, the blood and soil compact. Masculine Martian primacy." He paused, realizing how hollow the slogan sounded out loud. "But I'm not built like Ventura. I don't like this place." "Can you describe what you're feeling?" Klanya hesitated. "Ashamed. Software like I'm failing the tribe. Like if the guys knew I was talking to an AI therapist, they'd make me clean the protein latrine for a week." Acknowledged. Shame is common when one's identity is tethered to performative masculinity and hierarchical bonding rituals involving tactical cosplay. Chapter 7. The Ironic Rescue. Sol 880, Martian orbit. A glimmer of hope shimmered in the Martian sky. Not red and ragged like everything else, but sleek, silver, and professionally piloted. The SS Simone de Beauvoir made landfall with surgical precision, kicking up a soft dust plume that gently settled around the ramshackle dome of traditional Mars. Etched on the hull in bold lavender lettering, the Venus Project, Humanitarian Aid Division, female-led since 2041. As the hatch opened, a coordinated crew of calm, clean-cut women emerged in glistening white and silver uniforms, their boots crunching into the blood-crusted astrocrete. They surveyed the wreckage with measured silence. Men in various states of shirtlessness milled around the dome, shouting contradictory orders at no one. Two were having a push-up contest over a broken water filter. Commander Layla Hassan adjusted her visor and turned to her team. Start with the oxygen systems, then the gardens. Be gentle with their egos. Within 48 hours, the hydroponic farms were green and lush again. The air recyclers were purring like kittens. The toilet system, previously used as a dominance arena, was fully functional. The water purification system, which had been alpha upgraded with duct tape and deer antler spray, was replaced by a closed-loop filtration unit that didn't smell like beef jerky. The men watched all of this with slack jaws and wounded pride. Ventura requested a formal summit with Commander Hassan. He arrived shirtless, with a cape made from a weighted blanket. "We're grateful for your assistance," he said, "but the men are curious if any of your crew are open to the idea of settlement partnerships. For repopulation purposes, of course." Hassan didn't look up from her diagnostics tablet. "We came here to fix your mess, not join your LARP," one of the engineers added quietly, "and not one of us is into a man who can't operate a basic valve." As it became clear that the female astronauts were not interested in becoming Martian tradwives, fertility icons, or participants in Ventura's dream of a Mars-based 1950s revival, disillusionment set in. "But we built all this," Ventura protested to Doctor Hassan, gesturing at the half-collapsed dome behind him, "with blood and soil and manliness." "You built a damp concrete tomb," she replied without looking up from her datapad. "We turned it into a functional habitat. You're welcome." Chapter 8, The Great Schism. Sol 895, Dome Divide. The tension snapped like a Martian fiber seal under pressure. A line of red duct tape was drawn down the middle of the main habitat. On one side, traditional Mars, led by Ventura, Klanye, and a shrinking number of loyalists who still believed that sheer masculine energy could terraform a planet. On the other side is progressive Mars, co-ed, functional, and rapidly expanding thanks to collaboration with the Venus Project team and a growing number of defectors. Traditional Mars remained mostly shirtless and overly aggressive. They banned quinoa, yoga mats, and any music with a flute in it. Progressive Mars had working toilets, literacy programs, and invented a new Martian cocktail called the Red Planet Spritz. Arguments broke out over dome expansion rights, noise ordinances, and whether tactical vests were considered business attire. One tragic night, Klanye released a diss track aimed at the Venus Project called No Ovary, No Authority. It marked the cultural shift that would culminate in the death of Mars First. The diss track sparked a fierce and final rupture. Memes emerged. No ovary, no authority became a punchline on Venusian social media, complete with holographic dance remixes and AI-generated TikToks mocking Klanye's swagger. On Earth, the clip was broadcast as a cautionary tale about toxic space colonization. Mick Ventura watched it all unfold from his private command pod, still wearing his red sash and squinting at the 8K screen through tears of disbelief. Klanye had been his right-hand man, his firebrand, his chaos poet. Mick paced back and forth across the vinyl floor, gripping his ceremonial machete like it might slice through grief. "I gave that kid everything. I gave him slogans. I gave him brand identity. I told him he could design the Mars First logo himself." He stared at the cracked photo of their first blood and soil ceremony, back when everything had seemed eternal and testosterone-fueled. Now the altar was dusty, the flags drooped, even the red dust smoothie packets were moldy. He played the track one more time. This time it made him cry. Epilogue. The last broadcast of Mick Ventura. Sol 920, Mars First Transmission, Channel 88.7. The camera shakes, then focuses on Ventura's sunburnt face. His mustache is unkempt. His tactical vest hangs loose over a hoodie. Behind him, the once proud Astrocrete dome is visibly sagging. A hydroponic tomato plant has grown through a structural crack. He speaks directly into the lens. To my fellow Earth patriots, don't believe the lies. The mission is a resounding success. We have proven that masculinity can survive in the harshest conditions even if the water's weird and everyone's toes have mold. Mars is ours. A loud crack echoes as part of the dome wall collapses behind him. Ignore the traitors. The Venus witches and soy defectors may have better gardens and air quality, but they don't have spirit or kettlebells. Off-screen, a man screams, "I think I ate a battery." Ventura continues unfazed. And reinforcements are on the way. The signal is strong. The dream lives. He points toward the horizon. There, like an incoming caravan of misplaced idealism, several more ships are landing, each carrying dozens of fresh-faced male volunteers in red hats, unaware of the schism, the failure, the mildew. But they see the two domes out and they all start walking toward the one with solar panels, clean water, and laughter. Progressive Mars. The camera lingers on Ventura as he lowers his hand. His eyes go wide. His voice cracks. No, wait, they're walking the wrong way. They're going soft. They're going... The feed cuts out and Mars First was finally second. The end.